1,795 miles in one day. 500 around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 695 in transit, and 600 around the Charlotte Motor Speedway. When you put it like that, it seems simple enough. But as of 2024, in the 30 years since it's become feasible to attempt, only one man has ever completed the Indianapolis-Charlotte double. John Andretti completed the Indy 500 in 1994, but after traveling to Charlotte, his engine expired 220 laps into the Coke 600. Davy Jones attempted the double in 1995, but didn't even qualify for the 600. In 97, Robbie Gordon entered both races, but the 500 was moved off of Sunday due to rain, and he didn't finish either race anyway. In 99, Tony Stewart finished 9th at Indy and 4th in Charlotte. A remarkable feat, but 10 miles short of perfection, as he finished 4 laps down at the 500. Robbie Gordon took another shot at it in 2000, and once again, it rained. Robbie stayed in Indy to finish the 500 and missed the start in Charlotte. In 2001, it was Tony's turn again. He finished on the lead lap at Indy with a P6, and despite a short rain delay, he made the 695-mile journey to Charlotte in time for the start of the 600. After an early spin, he rebounded and finished 3rd. He did it. Tony Stewart became the only driver to ever complete the double. For the next 3 years, Robbie Gordon tried to complete the double, coming up just a mile and a half short in his only attempt that wasn't scuttled by rain. Following this, the double took an 8-year hiatus before Kurt Busch gave it a shot in 2014. He was on track to complete it until his engine let go 194 miles from home. For 10 years, rumors flew in every direction about somebody attempting the double. Kyle Busch said he had a deal in place to attempt it, but his team owner Joe Gibbs didn't want him to. If you ask me, it's not surprising that this feat is becoming more rare as time goes on. Extracurricular activities became frowned upon by most team owners in the 2010s, after incidents like Robert Kubica's rally crash and Tony Stewart's sprint car crash. But in the early 2020s, the pendulum has begun to swing back the other direction, led by one man.
Last lap at Grandview, Pennsylvania Speedway, it'll be Kyle Larson.
And young money Kyle Larson wins the Greg Hodnett Classic.
100 consecutive laps led in sprint car racing's biggest event. Kyle Larson doubles up in the Nationals.
Kyle Larson. 95 sprint car race wins, a majority of which came during his full-time NASCAR Cup Series career. Kyle's racing background is remarkably similar to Tony Stewart's, and if he had been coming of age in the late 1990s, he would have been a prime target to be the face of Tony George's Indy Racing League, just as Stewart was. The IRL didn't create the double, but putting oval-centric drivers at the forefront of the series gave Stewart and Robbie Gordon, 2 drivers who were transitioning from IndyCar to NASCAR, the perfect opportunity to attempt the double a combined 7 times. Other than these 2, drivers who've attempted the double are another guy who drove in both series, a guy who never ran full-time in either series, and a NASCAR champion who tested in IndyCar and decided to challenge himself. On August 13th, 2023, another NASCAR champion throws his hat into the ring. Kyle Larson will attempt the 2024 Indy 500 with Arrow McLaren, fly southeast to Charlotte, and run the Coke 600 for Hendrick Motorsports. He'll run a special livery in both races as part of the attempt's larger branding as the Hendrick 1100. I'm choosing to ignore the 1100 figure in favor of 1795, for reasons that will become clear later on. At the bottom of IndyCar's article about the announcement is a quote from Charlotte Motor Speedway General Manager Greg Walter, who turned to Larson and said with a smile, "Kyle, don't be late." As Memorial Day weekend slowly drew closer, the hype grew beyond that of any previous double attempt. Thanks to Larson's massive popularity in the American motorsports scene, IndyCar's resurgence in the 2020s, and the marketing machine of NASCAR's biggest team. Soon, it's the month of May. Larson had finished second on the pylon in April's open test, validating fans' high expectations. On May 15th, his first full practice session, he placed 15th. No reason to panic, especially since he finished directly ahead of 2 Indy 500 winners. The next day, Arrow McLaren discovered an engine issue in the 17 car and changed the engine entirely ahead of Fast Friday. Now he's really turning heads. Second place on the charts the day before qualifying. On the same weekend, he flew to North Wilkesboro to finish 4th in the NASCAR All-Star race. He took to the Brickyard for Indy 500 qualifying.
He's on target at the moment to leapfrog Santino Ferrucci. It's an all Chevrolet-powered Firestone Fast 6. How does this look for Kyle Larson?
Flag, gray 1.
He's done enough to leapfrog Ferrucci.
1.
5th place. For someone who'd never driven an IndyCar before his rookie test the previous October, this was an incredible achievement. The final 2 practice sessions went off without a hitch, save for when he ran out of fuel on the track on carb day, but the car stayed intact, the engine was tuned to perfection, and Kyle Larson was ready to make racing history. So let's go over the itinerary he'll have to follow in order to complete the most daunting challenge in motorsports. The green flag will fly at Indianapolis at 12:45 p.m. Eastern. After 200 laps, which should take around 3 hours, he'll get out of his car and at around 4 p.m. rush to a helicopter. He'll take a short flight over to the Indianapolis International Airport, where a private jet is waiting to escort him to Concord, North Carolina. Another helicopter ride, and he'll arrive at Charlotte Motor Speedway in time for the green flag at 6 p.m. Eastern. 500 miles at Indy, 695 in the air, and 600 at Charlotte. You got all that? If you're Kyle Larson, you'd better, because there is zero margin for error on this journey. No delays, no transportation issues, nothing. If anything goes awry, his shot at racing history will be over. When Kyle wakes up on May 26th, he's greeted with the one thing that would send everything awry.
You see the famed pylon here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's now flashing weather advisory, and the fans have been told to exit the grandstands and seek shelter immediately.
12:45 p.m. comes and goes, and the Indy 500 is nowhere near beginning. The entire speedway is under a weather advisory due to lightning. As the minutes turn to hours, one thing becomes certain. Kyle Larson will not complete the double in 2024. At 4:44 p.m., just an hour and change before the green flag in Charlotte, the Indianapolis 500 begins, and Kyle is still here. He's racing the Indy 500, foregoing the start in Charlotte. After a first corner crash involving Marcus Ericsson and Tom Blomqvist, among others, Larson restarts mid-pack on the 9th lap. Hang on, he was just in 6th. Larson's first restart at Indy goes terribly. A rookie mistake shifting up through the gears sees him drop to 14th place.
We're getting a report that the restart is under review. Things were moving very fast for this HendrickCars.com Chevy. Oh, wheel spin. He was in first gear, James, in that. He went to 4th or 3rd gear. He upshifted.
I think he had a wheel spin moment, and as he went to correct the spin, remember the shift paddles are on the back of that steering wheel. It sounds like he caught a gear and upshifted. Here's from Herta's view.
A few laps later, he's caught Takuma Sato and attempts a pass in turn 2.
Oh, that is dicey. And Larson might get a freight train now as he had the lift coming off 2.
You heard clear by 3, his spotter telling him, now you see he's at Castro Neves.
Yeah,
Gonna look to the high side in 3.
Veterans will pounce on inexperience. You see it right there.
Larson gains 2 spots on pit road under caution, but struggles on the restart again. Another quick yellow gives him a shot at a do-over, which he gladly takes, jumping back up to 14th. By the 44th lap, Larson's cracked the top 10, as it's clear he's much better on the long run. By the 1/4 mark, he's up to 9th. A well-timed caution sees him hold position on pit road, aided by Rinus VeeKay stacking the field up behind him. He's 10th for the restart since a few cars stayed out. He's figured out restarts by now and even passes Christian Rasmussen, though Rasmussen gets him back a few laps later.
Christian Rasmussen wanted to get on the inside there. He's getting to mix it up.
And Kyle Larson continues to learn so much there, sits behind Rasmussen, but is able to see the Ferrucci's and Newgarden Palou battle.
By the halfway point, Larson's in 7th place, thanks to his own consistency and some attrition ahead of him. By the next yellow, he's up to 6th. If he holds position for the rest of the day, he would tie Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, and Robbie Gordon for the best Indy 500 finish by someone attempting the double. If he gets one more position, he'll take that record for himself. Kyle's not going to complete every mile, as the Coke 600 has already begun by now, but he's still got a chance to make history. With 81 to go, he goes for 5th place.
Larson on the inside of Palou, and Palou is forced up high.
He holds position until green flag pit stops with 68 to go, and everything comes undone.
Oh, big lockup from Kyle Larson, way past the cone there. We've seen this before, guys. A good 500, Dylan, come unglued in pit lane.
This will be tight down to make it on one more time. And there you go. Kyle Larson does indeed get a penalty. You heard Brian Campy say it. He will have to come down pit road. And that's one of the things that he was worried about, is how he would handle pit road. He's going to have to do a drive-through for speeding, Kevin.
For the next 20 laps, he languishes a lap down, until an opportune caution gives him the chance to take the wave around and come down pit road.
Yeah, Kyle Larson, they did take the wave around, which I believe you mentioned it, so they're going to be back on the lead lap here. They're going to make a rear wing adjustment here, and once you take the wave around here in IndyCar, you can come to pit road. That's what Larson did here. We'll see if these fresh Firestones help him out at all, Kevin.
The typical pit window at Indianapolis is around 30-35 laps. As Larson pulls off pit road, he's got 46 laps left. If he can somehow save enough fuel to the point that he doesn't have to pit again, he could pull off the miracle to end all miracles. With 30 to go, the leaders begin their final pit stops. Larson slowly climbs the pylon, and with 25 to go, he's in 5th place. One by one, the cars ahead of him pull off, and on the 179th lap, Kyle Larson takes the lead of the Indy 500.
You can see on the graphic there, and we go on board with the HendrickCars.com Arrow McLaren machine of Kyle Larson. On the graphic, he's leading. He's not really, in terms of...
He is.
He is, technically, but not really.
A catastrophic yellow. He last pitted on lap 153, so he's 27 laps into this stint. Improbable, but not impossible.
What he needed was a string of cautions leading all the way to the finish, allowing him to coast to the end of the race. What he got was a green flag run to the end, and with 16 laps to go, his fuel tank ran dry. At the front of the field, Joseph Newgarden and Pato O'Ward gave us one of the greatest finishes in motorsports history. Behind them, Kyle Larson finished 18th. His day's not over. He still has to rush to the helicopter, hop over to the Indianapolis airport, and fly to Charlotte.
I see a helicopter coming. There's Larson.
By the time he reaches his second speedway of the day, it's 9:20 p.m. At the exact same time, the yellow flag comes out.
It's a caution for weather, guys.
The rain clouds that delayed the Indy 500 have moved southeast, following Larson to Charlotte. Reserve driver Justin Allgaier has put the 5 car in 13th place at the time of the yellow, so Larson's going to have a pretty good shot at the win when this thing gets back going. On the 249th lap, he's reached his pit box and is waiting for his car to pull in. Soon enough, it does, but it's accompanied by the rest of the field. The red flag is out. After a couple more hours of waiting around for Larson, it's starting to look like the track's almost dry again. But then, all of a sudden, Fox shows a montage of heavy rain from earlier, and Mike Joy says,
"We had rain sideways. We had thunder and lightning earlier, and then that storm system moved through. However, what remained was really heavy humidity."
Humidity. The broadcast then cuts to the booth where Joy addresses the audience directly.
So what we're looking at is the possibility of it taking well into the early morning hours to get this track dry, get rid of the standing water, and make it raceable again. So the Coca-Cola 600 is official. Christopher Bell is the winner.
Notably, Fox has made this announcement before the drivers are told. Joe Gibbs, the winning car owner, says he was told the drivers would be called to their cars in 15 minutes. The sudden move to end the race feels a little sketchy, with whispers that Fox made the decision and NASCAR just went along with it. But there's no real evidence to support this. As far as we know, the jet dryers took to the track, NASCAR realized it wasn't drying as fast as it should, looked at the clock, and that was that. After months of build-up and hype, Kyle Larson completed 1,195 of the 1,795 necessary to complete the double. 500 at Indy, 695 in the air, and 0 at Charlotte. This is why I'm including the miles in the air. If they weren't a factor, Kyle would have been in the car at Charlotte well before the rain arrived. The middle of this journey is just as important as where it begins and ends. As the Cup Series packs up and heads west to Gateway, one key issue hasn't yet been resolved. Kyle Larson currently isn't eligible for the 2024 playoffs.
So things are complicated for Kyle Larson. NASCAR rules require that to remain eligible in playoff contention, you must start every scheduled Cup race. If you're unable to start a race, you can request a waiver from NASCAR, but that is not guaranteed. So obviously, due to weather at Indianapolis, Larson was not here to start the 600.
In order to make the playoffs, drivers need to qualify on points or wins and participate in every Cup Series race in the regular season. Failing this, drivers must receive a waiver from the sanctioning body. Historically, this has always been granted, but there's some talk that Larson may not be given one. As Gateway comes and goes, Jeff Gluck states the following on the Teardown podcast.
All week long, I've seen so many people speculating, NASCAR knows what they're going to do. They're just stringing this out for attention, for clicks. That is not the case. The reason that this has not been announced yet, what they're doing, is because there is serious consideration to not giving Kyle Larson a waiver.
One weather system moving across the United States may have ended Kyle Larson's championship pursuit months before the playoffs even begin. Thankfully, after over a week, NASCAR decides to grant him the waiver. Larson can relax as he's eligible for the playoffs as he finishes out the regular season, which takes him right back to Indy. He's running the same special paint scheme he ran, or was going to run, at Charlotte. He's been up front all day, but with less than 3 laps to go, he's in third behind Brad Keselowski and Ryan Blaney. He'll need a perfect storm of circumstances in order to win.
Coming out. Oh, we got a caution that comes out. It's the 8 of Kyle Busch.
Well, I think they want to, but I just don't think Matt McCall, the crew chief of this 6 car at this point, you just got to ride it out.
6 is close. And he's out. He's out. So the 5 moves forward into the front row. It's overtime, presented by Credit One Bank. And a wreck in turn 1. A great launch for Larson. Reddick way back. Here comes Blaney on the outside. Larson easily by Blaney. Oh! Spinner on the back stretch, and is he going to make contact? He does with the inside wall. We'll see in front. Reddick running second. One more time around. And the 41 still isn't moving.
I don't see any way NASCAR lets them race by this.
And there's the caution. Larson's going to do it. Larson is going to win the Brickyard 400.
What the hell just happened? Kyle Larson never called himself the greatest driver in the world. What he said was that he's a better all-around driver than Max Verstappen. He says, 1 year after the double was first announced, and fresh off a win at the Knoxville Nationals, that he could beat Max head-to-head in anything, other than open-wheel cars, because that's his turf. Of course, the nuance of his statement is lost on the wider world, as most nuance is, though it's understandably a little confusing. Max Verstappen is widely considered the best race car driver in the world right now, which, in a 2025 interview with The Athletic, Larson seems to scoff at. They took that as, I said I'm the greatest in the world, because for some reason Max is considered the greatest in the world. I don't know who Kyle thinks is the best in the world, but your average racing fan now believes the answer is himself. He had always planned to attempt the double a second time. The original contract was for 2 years. Despite how poorly the first year went, Kyle is back at Indy for 2025. He's seemingly lost a step thanks to the new hybrid engines and the damage to his car after this moment on Fast Friday.
Oh, and Kyle Larson's backwards. Big hit on the nose of the car.
Nose into the wall, big spin for Larson, rear will go in, and Kyle, I guess we have to let you go.
Yeah, I got to get back to work.
He qualifies 21st and lines up on the grid in 19th after Joseph Newgarden and Will Power are sent to the back of the field. Once again, rain delays the start of the race, but not nearly as much as last year. As the cars finally get going, Scott McLaughlin loses control on the cold asphalt and spins into the wall. ending his race before it's even begun. As Kyle approaches the stricken 3 car, he says the following over the radio. There was some debate over whether it was him, his crew chief, or his spotter that really said that. What's unmistakable is the thumbs up that Kyle gives Scott McLaughlin as he passes, which, given the context of the preceding quote, reads a lot more sarcastic than genuine. It's really not helping the perception of him as an arrogant interloper who thinks he's better than everyone else. As the race gets underway, he stays consistent but stays mid-pack. His first pit stop, though, doesn't go as well as it did a year ago.
That's problems for Larson as well in the 17 and McLaren.
He exits pit road in 31st, last place of the cars still on track. Timing and scoring kind of breaks for a while after this, and we don't see his position on the pylon until he's up to 25th. It's safe to say he won't contend for the win in the same way he did last year. In a complete reversal from 2024, it's time to ignore the race win and focus on the original goal of completing 1795 miles in a day. The way this race is going, he'll need the second half to run clean, because the window for his 695 miles in the air is rapidly shrinking. When Kyle's name is shown on the Fox pylon for the first time in a long time, it's lap 73. This is around the time that the race gets really fucking weird.
Fire! There's fire all over the car. Fuel had gone out.
Alexander Rossi's pit box is momentarily engulfed in flames, ending his race immediately. A few laps later, Rinus VeeKay loses his brakes coming into pit road. All this, the rain, the wrecks at the start, and the penalties earlier in the week are enough to leave one's head spinning. Will Buxton sums it up best.
What on earth is going on at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway today? We have seen it all.
It's not over. During the yellow, Robert Schwartzman crashes into about 4 of his pit crew members. In a recent video of mine, I said that the Speedway is most heartless when it's cold. At first, its anger may have been focused towards Team Penske, but by now, it's lashing out at everyone. Kyle Larson isn't immune from this. We saw it earlier in his first pit stop. Perhaps it was karmic punishment for his thumbs up towards McLaughlin. Whatever it was, it's safe to say that the Speedway is done messing with Larson.
So we got a spinner. Kyle Larson.
No. Larson hits Simpson.
I think Stingray Robb may have been caught up in that as well.
It is game over for Larson, and that is the double. Done and dusted.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Will Buxton has emphasized throughout the day that Kyle Larson is still learning how to drive an IndyCar. After all, it's his second race ever, and he spends most of his time driving other types of cars. But what gave him a particular headache today was the gearbox. His pit road problem was caused by him shifting up into second gear too soon, and the crash that just ended his race happened thanks to an inexplicable downshift.
Oh, he downshifted.
Oh, no.
I'm not surprised that this is what gave him so much trouble today. Even though NASCAR has been using sequential shifters for over 3 years now, the shifter is a lot more similar to a traditional gear lever, whereas Indy cars use paddle shifters on the steering wheel, making it much easier to downshift as a knee-jerk reaction to a car slowing in front of you, which is exactly what Kyle just did. He heads to the Indianapolis airport having completed just 228 miles. Unlike last year, Kyle Larson is in the 5 car for the green flag of the Coca-Cola 600. Unlike earlier today, he's running up front.
I've never seen any athlete with a shorter memory than Kyle Larson. He can forget adversity like that, and here he is once again inside of his teammate, driver 5, back on point with a little bit of a wiggle in front of Byron.
I mentioned earlier that the best 500 finish by a double participant was 6th. The best 600 finish by one is 3rd by Tony Stewart in 2001. As Kyle Larson pulls away from the field, he just might make history after all. Or his day could get even worse.
Oh, the leader! There goes Kyle Larson sliding off the corner. First caution of the night.
Straight, keep it straight.
For the rest of the race's first half, he's stuck a lap down. After the stage 2 caution, he's back on the lead lap and slowly starts to make his way back through the field. On the 245th lap, Daniel Suarez gets a little bit loose while 3 wide with Chase Briscoe and Ryan Blaney.
Ow, big wreck!
He turns his car to the left to keep it off the wall, right into the path of Kyle Larson.
Huge crash, the 5.
This time, the damage is too much to repair. Kyle finishes 37th and has completed 1,290 miles of his 1,795-mile journey, a journey that, as of today, he seems unlikely to ever embark on again. His reservations don't lie with the 1,100 miles of racing, but the 695 in between. The 12:45 start time at Indianapolis leaves little room for delays, and as we saw in both of his attempts, delays are easy to come across. A lot of people were happy to see Kyle Larson fail in such a spectacular manner, especially considering his perceived arrogance and self-aggrandization. But while I'm no fan of his, I appreciate anyone who attempts one of the most difficult challenges in racing. Hopefully soon another driver will give the double a shot. Maybe they'll even complete both races. But until that day comes, Tony Stewart will stand alone.